Well, summer is truly here, and well, it's too damn hot to do anything but stay inside and watch scary movies. Hey, y'all, my name is Mike Vaughn, and if you need some easy to find summer horror flicks, I got you covered. I will also include a guide to where to stream or buy physically all of these titles. But before I get into this video, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe as I do upload new videos daily. All these movies are set in the summer or maybe just give you a summer vibe. I included some obvious choices and some wild cards. Also, I was going to include Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but that film's a masterpiece, and I don't know, what else can you really add to that discourse? Also, these are in no particular order. Now, let's get into it. I Know What You Did Last Summer is set on the 4th of July, so it would feel just wrong to leave it off this list. Based on a novel of the same name published in 1973, I Know What You Did Last Summer came after the wildly successful Scream film, and indeed, it was written by Scream scribe Kevin Williamson. Often cited as among the best of the post-Scream slashers, I Know What You Did Last Summer is an effortlessly tense, filled mystery that serves up plenty of chills and thrills. Sure, the movie is a bit dated, but as someone who grew up in the 90s, it's part of the film's charm. There are no chapters and no chapter cutaways. The Ruins is your basic long scream of horror. It does for Mexican vacations what Jaws did for New England beaches in 1975. This is a quote from Stephen King, the master of horror himself, in regards to The Ruins book, written by Scott Smith and published in 2006. In 2008, Smith would pen the screenplay for the film adaptation with Carter Smith directing. The film failed at the box office, yet has retained a huge following among horror fans. Indeed, this sun-soaked film starts off like a basic, pretty people invading local spaces and getting punished kind of horror film. And if you want to be reductive about it, it is that. However, Ruins offers up a nice, nasty slice of body horror that is as gross as it is incredibly well executed. If you slept on this movie until now, I really implore you to give it a chance. Its slow first act gives way to a nerve-stripping blood feast. I was originally going to go with Wolf Creek, which, don't get me wrong, is a solid summer horror film. However, I think if you're searching for something a little less traditional, I would highly recommend Wake and Fright. Wake and Fright is less Wolf Creek slasher and is more akin to a A24 psychological thriller only decades before that studio even existed. The film is disturbing, and for most people it might be too much. Indeed, there is an infamous kangaroo hunt scene that most will find difficult, if not impossible, to get through. Wake and Fright is a haunting journey into madness and the heart of darkness. It's sticky, hazy, and it doesn't let up until you've been drained dry. For those brave among you, it's a scary treat from Australia. Okay, so maybe the movie before this doesn't sound like your cup of tea. Well, The Burning is a classic 80s slasher, and one that is sure to please even the most cynical horror fan. Based on the urban legend of Cropsey, The Burning is an underrated slasher film that is thankfully finding a more mainstream audience after having a great Blu-ray and now 4K re-release. Burning is standout because of, well, its burn-up villain, predating Freddy, which is really horrifying, and the kills, holy crap, they go so hard. Like, it's clear that the filmmakers took inspiration from Bava's Bay of Blood in some of the more gorier set pieces. And these were all achieved by the legendary Tom Savini. And it also stars a young Jason Alexander. The Burning is a must-watch, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Coming 3 years after Friday the 13th, you might be forgiven in thinking Sleepaway Camp is just a clone of that film. Sure, it's got a camp setting and a mysterious killer afoot, yet if I'm being totally real with y'all, I prefer Sleepaway Camp to the first Friday the 13th. It's refreshing to see actual kids and teens in an active camp setting, and the deaths range from delightfully campy to the grotesque. But it also breaks that taboo of children in danger. Also, if you manage to not have the finale spoiled, you are in for one hell of a treat. I also have a soft spot for the 2 sequels, especially part 2. Madman is yet another camp setting slasher. Yet, what I love about Madman is that, like The Burning, it has an urban legend style approach to it. And it takes this one step further in heavily implying some supernatural element is also afoot. And I think this is a little bit more interesting than just a faceless, unstoppable killer. It's this angle and the amazing design of Madman Mars, all topped off with some excellent kills that makes this an easy recommend. So, it's still June, barely I know, but what the fuck. Knife Plus Heart is a hazy, intoxicating love letter to the giallo genre with a gay bent. Knife Plus Heart feels like a nice mixture of Ken Russell, Derek Jarman, and Dario Argento. Production is amazing and really nails that giallo spirit, and the soundtrack is also top tier. Summer of '84 could have been yet another 80s horror homage, yet its skilled writing and direction elevates the material greatly. What most modern 80s inspired films lack is just how brutal those films could really be. And even kids aren't spared in this flick. It's not without some clunky narrative devices and a few missed opportunities, yet I still think it's a razor-sharp thrill ride that is worth checking out. Man, do I have a soft spot for this soft-served gore fest. Ice Cream Man scoops up some much-needed mid-90s cheese, and Clint Howard devours the titular role. Much like Summer of '84, the taboo of kids in harm is certainly in play here. Indeed, the movie does amp up the stranger danger aspect and the sense of childhood innocence lost. There is also a really interesting through line of the parents being so self-absorbed in their own stuff that they don't see the kids in danger. I do think the plot isn't as focused as it could be, but it's so campy and I really enjoy it, warts and all. So, our final title is It, and hell yeah, of course I needed to include this. It really does a great job at distilling King's massive book, which is very tricky, yet the first part manages to capture the heart of the source material while also streamlining and omitting things to better fit the medium of film. The young cast is charming as hell, and the town of Derry feels lived in and unnerving as hell. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is, oh my gosh, inspired casting, and while Tim Curry will always be the GOAT, Skarsgård is excellent here and puts a different and terrifying spin on the character. So those are my picks for some great summer horror films. Now I want to hear from y'all. What's your favorite summer horror film? Weigh in the comments below. If I get a lot of great suggestions and this video does well, I might make a second part. Stay cool, and I'll see y'all in the next video.